Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. And joining us is
Japheth!
Peter. And of course me, Jackie. Today we're excited to kind of give you our tips and tricks for Disneyland and kind of go over some questions that we might get a lot when people find out we are Disney fans.
Yeah, you do find that, like, especially when it's known that you go to Disneyland quite often, you find a lot of people that'll go out of their way. It's like, okay, I'm coming to you next time, and they'll come and be like, I mean, what's the best? And they like spew everything. It's like, well, if you got some more time, I can go over, answer all those questions in great detail if you want. So it's a good thing that we can do this now, so that I can just be like, well, listen to this podcast.
Listen to my podcast. I think probably the first question that I usually get, the most common one is, oh, do you know where to get cheap Disney tickets?
The answer is no.
No. Even in the military, their discount was like 5%. You're like, that doesn't even cover tax.
Of course, there's like tips because you can like pay with gift cards, so sometimes it's easy to get gift cards through apps and stuff, but that's a whole different thing. But the fact is, you pay the full price generally.
Yeah. I mean, the tip that I tend to tell people to do is, because this is what I do at least, is we'll buy the gift cards through we shop at Fry's Groceries, so we'll get the fuel points, and that way we can get like $1 off on gas, so that when we drive out there, it's initially not as much money. So we save money on gas by paying full price for the ticket. So that's probably the only real.
Especially when you're driving from like the Matterhorn. That's
driving from the Matterhorn.
It's cold up here.
But just to give our audience a background, we'll be kind of discussing tips from different point of views and family sizes. For Peter,
I'm going to be giving it from the perspective of a young family, because that's what I have. I have a young family, so.
And I'm going to give it the perspective of a new father with a baby that's 6 months old. So I will be giving points from my perspective. Although I've not been to Disneyland with a small child, I know the pains. I can see it in the faces of the guests that have brought small children, and I can help alleviate some of the pain you may encounter with bringing a small child to Disneyland.
And then for me, my perspective is going as an adult with no children.
Hey.
Must be nice.
Disneyland's for children, not for grown adults.
And
I remember when that came out.
I am a child at heart. And of course, we will be giving tips for Disneyland pre-COVID. Right now, Disneyland is closed, and so we do not.
Disney World is very limited capacity.
Yes.
And none of us live on that side of the country, so we can't speak too much to that situation. But as of recording, who knows? It could change here. But as of us recording, Disneyland is still closed due to COVID.
There are rumors of opening up soon, but we do not know.
We do not know. That's it. Little whispers.
Little whispers. And of course, kind of before Disneyland closed, Rise of the Resistance was a big thing. We will discuss some things, but Japheth has not been yet.
No clue.
Yes,
Zero
no
clue.
idea what Star Wars Land is.
What is this Star Wars land?
That's why I bought you the book, so so you didn't have to go.
I know. I actually had it. I started reading it, and I was like, I want to read it as if I'm going there, so I could remember
Sure.
the small details. So
Sure.
The first question I kind of want to talk about is what are expectation or your attitude going into the park? I think that's pretty important to kind of review because it can make or break a vacation.
Sure. Well, with kids, you should have zero expectation to get
I concur.
anything.
I concur.
You get what you get.
You need a vacation from the vacation.
Yes. Because, it's the kids, you never know. Like, one day they will be perfect angels and it'll be the most magical day ever. And then the next day, they're living nightmares that you can't get them to comply on anything. And so, you just have to, if you're going in with kids, younger kids, don't expect anything out of them. If they're going to freak out on trying to get on rides, you just have to suck it up and not go on the ride because you don't want to traumatize your children for life just because you wanted to ride Space Mountain but couldn't because your kid didn't want to ride. So
I think even from working at Disney World, like I do not have small children or anything, but even working at Disney World and seeing those families try to expect so much out of their vacation and like push their kids, it just ruins it.
So from an operational standpoint, when you go to the park, Disney estimates that a guest will feel like they got their money's worth if they ride, I think, between 8 to 9 rides. I can't remember, it was 8 or 9. And if like the wait times are so long, and this was when I was working at Disney World, they would extend the park hours, an additional hour or two, because they have some sort of computer algorithm. We're going, well, the average person is going to ride these 4 rides, and this will suck this much time. And so they don't want anybody to have the excuse like, I didn't have enough time. Like, well, we extended the park this many hours. You had the opportunity once you entered. And they have done it, because I used to work the night shift, and especially around the holidays. So we'd be open till 1, and like, guess what? We're open till like 2:30, and you're just like, this sucks, because I'm like, I gotta go to school in like 5 hours.
I'm trying to think here. Back when I was working at the then MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios, I think like I'm like literally counting how many rides there were, and there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 rides. It was just mind blowing that I didn't even.
This was at Magic Kingdom. I don't know about the other.
Yeah.
But Magic Kingdom was one where like they will extend it if you didn't get the right amount.
Sure.
I don't know if that's true for Disneyland though.
I don't know.
I've never kind of been in that situation where they're like, we've extended the park.
So I would say like they've done studies, and they like I said,
They have
between
crowd.
8 and 9 rides in a day, then Disney thinks that you are satisfied and you'll come back another day. So keep that in mind. You're not gonna like, I'm gonna ride every single ride. It's like, okay, good luck.
Yeah, definitely don't go in expecting you're going to see every single show, every single ride, and you're going to get your full money's worth. You're not going to enjoy your day at the park with that attitude because you most likely will not get all of that done.
You just have to place a priority on what, you kind of have to lay it out as to like what's a priority to you and focus on that, and then the other stuff can kind of fill in the blanks as you go about your day.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's go into how early should you get to the park? Now, this changes because of Star Wars Land. So pre-Star Wars Land, how early would you get to the park to be when the gates open?
Early, as soon as you can.
Yep.
Maximize your time in that early period. Like that first 3 hours are the golden period. It doesn't get any better than that until like the last 2 hours of the park is open, if it's open up later, I think.
and that's usually when your kids are most well behaved, is first thing in the morning after they've eaten breakfast. They are the most excited and happiest they will probably be all day long. So
And the
that's
weather's
very
better
important.
in the morning, usually. Especially if you're going in the summer.
You've got a high, you're like, woo, we're going to Disneyland. Nothing we can get through the gate. You hear the, and then you go underneath the train, and then you just see Main Street. I mean, there's just that rush. It's just like, I'm here. Yes. That's
so I would say pre-Star Wars Land, if you're not planning on doing Star Wars
Maybe
Land.
a half hour before.
Half hour to an hour, depending on the time of period you are going to the park.
Yeah.
If it's high peak, aim for an hour. If it's a lower peak season, half an hour. As long as you're in the hub, you're okay. And then, so we're in the park. What's your first attraction you're headed to?
Usually somewhere in Fantasyland for me. Because again, as I said, that's when your kids are most well behaved. This is going to be when they're most excited, most willing to do what you can get them on. They're more willing to wait in lines, and so you want to get the kid things done as quickly as you can, because they might want to nap in the middle of the day. They're going to be a little whiny, so you're going to have to take time outs. And so first thing in the morning, definitely Fantasyland. Hit those attractions like Snow White and Pinocchio, and you can hit the Dumbo and
Peter Pan. I think it sets the tone. I know everybody goes to it first, but it doesn't get any better. It's always busy.
It's true.
So if you get it out of the way
busy.
and it's done, but it also sets the tone, because it's probably the most magical ride in Fantasyland, in the sense that you get on it, you're in a ship, which is a cool,
it's
the
a
ride,
cool vehicle.
and you get in the vehicle, you're floating through, you're over the town. It takes you into Fantasyland more than the other dark rides there. Next would probably be like Dumbo, where you're flying in. Dumbo is the next one, because you're seeing things. But I think getting Peter Pan out of the way, that way you don't feel any obligation. And plus, when the sun comes out and beats on the line, I don't like it. It's either Peter Pan the last ride of the night or the first ride.
See, I'm different as an adult. Everyone's going to Fantasyland with their young kids, so I avoid Fantasyland in the morning. I hit it at night. Especially Peter Pan, mainly because the line is going to be long no matter what. When you ride it,
it's 45 minutes.
Usually 45
Doesn't
minutes.
matter what time of day, it's always 45 minutes.
And I'm an individual that will get sunburned, so I will ride it at night so I do not get sunburned.
Yeah, with the Fantasyland thing, I recommend if I was going with children and with mine, I would just take them with the rides that are open during the day in Fantasyland, like Storybook Tower, Casey Jr. Train. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And then you got Peter Pan. I would get those out of the way, because I like to end the night in Fantasyland.
Sure.
Because there's a glow. There's it's kind of fun, because it's just that style of architecture there, where you feel like you're going through a small town.
It's a great place to end your day, because Fantasyland is truly the most magical place in the park.
Yes.
And so what a perfect way to end your day at Disneyland than being in the most magical place that is Fantasyland.
I suppose going to New Orleans Square, where you're like, who's that shady guy in the corner? Like, hey kids,
Now for me,
want to buy some Mickey ears? Ah! Don't look at him.
Now for me, my first attraction that I would go to, Space Mountain, Tomorrowland area, just because it's not very busy, and towards nighttime, it's packed and busy and high crowds. It's just annoying just to kind of walk in that area.
It's one of the worst lines. It's so boring.
And for me, if I was in your shoes, because back when I didn't have a family, honestly, one of my favorite places to go first thing in the morning was Splash Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Because there's literally no one in line. There's even opportunities where they'll be like, "You want to go again? All right," and they'll just send your log, continue on. You can possibly ride 2 or 3 times in a row
Easily.
And so you get your wet early out of the way. And
you
then
dry out.
You dry out, and you're good, and you don't have to ride Splash Mountain the rest of the day. You don't have to worry about, like, I'm going to get wet.
But it's nice to ride Splash Mountain when it's like that hot day, and you're like,
Yes.
I need something.
Sure.
It's nice when you get that, like, fast pass, right, like, 1 o'clock, where it's, like, really hot out, and you're just like, yes, I can cool down, but still have time to dry off. But yes. Okay, so it's snack time. Top eats, like, what's your one snack you're gonna grab?
Definition of snack. I need clarification.
It is not a full-on meal.
Okay.
So it could be like a dessert.
I've got 3, or I can do
Yeah,
4.
that's
I got
fine.
chimichangas 1. I always like
You love
chimichangas.
those chimichangas.
I did a whole trip where I ate every churro and chimichanga stand. I got one, and I was quite satisfied. Like I said, churros, the Bengal tiger,
Those little...
The
skewer,
skewers,
chicken
like
skewers.
one little skewer is a great snack.
It's a great snack. Or you can make it into a meal, a very
Yes.
expensive meal, with very little return, except for...
Well,
they're
their
good.
menu has grown a lot
It's
in
gotten-
the past few years.
It's gaining popularity where they've like knocked out the Indiana Jones store
Yes, do it just for seating.
just for seating. So that shows you like it's there to stay. And also the last one is I brought a blank. Dole Whip.
Yeah, I was like, Dole Whip is a must for me. I
And
must get a Dole Whip.
I like... And you guys, I don't think you guys have tried it yet, the new loaded float. The loaded Dole float. It is amazing. It's like, I think it's... They've got 2 of them, and I like the one that's pineapple and orange swirl.
Oh yeah.
And they've got a little...
like pokey.
Yeah, pokey sticks in there, and like, oh, it's massive, and they've got little chunks of fruit in there. Like, it is, like, I can't go back to a regular Dole Whip since I've had that. Like, I've had that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that's
Good to know.
yes.
Don't have it. I don't want to ruin it.
It is.
Right.
It is very good. A lot of Adventureland options there.
There's a lot
Adventureland is
of
great.
great snack options in Adventureland.
Which that is at Tropical Hideaway, what I was talking about.
Yes. Their dumplings there
I haven't had the dumplings.
are, well, I don't think they're called dumplings.
They're the bows.
The bows
The bao buns.
are so great. I actually prefer the bows now over Bengal barbecue.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's go with what's the most underrated ride you would recommend that people don't think about often?
I'd say Pinocchio. I love Pinocchio. Like, for some reason, that has like 0 to like no wait in Fantasyland. Like, I don't know why, but it's a great little ride. Like, yeah, sure, it's not like Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain, but like, it's a great attraction that gets you out of the sun. It's a fun little story.
Yeah, if the line's 15 minutes, walk away.
Yes.
Pinocchio's not worth 15 minutes.
It's not worth 15 minutes, but it's usually a walk-on.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So, like, if you don't see the line outside, go on it. Like, it's good. That would be one I throw out as an underrated attraction.
I'm the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yeah.
It's like, there's something about it, like at 4 o'clock, like the sun's gone down a little bit, and I got the tiki torches going, and like you grab that Dole Whip, you could take it
Yes.
into the theater, and you could just, like, it's still warm out, but like you can go in there and kind of just cool off. And you can kind of just close your eyes for like 5 minutes. Like, the whole show is great, but if you want to just shut your eyes for a moment and not feel guilty, that's what I recommend.
And always sit in the back row.
Back row.
Yes. 'Cause
Always the back row.
You have a backing.
Yes.
Now you're sitting in some person's lap as you fall asleep.
For me, Mr. Lincoln, I
I wasn't sure if you were Team Lincoln or you were not.
I am Team Lincoln.
All right.
It's a great place to hide away. A lot of people skip over because it's at the very front of the entrance, so not a lot of people want to walk all the way to the front.
It's not in a great location.
It's not in a great location, but I still get the feels whenever I hear, like...
You feel very patriotic.
Yes!
I feel like I'm an American. Yeah.
Like, you feel really proud of your country and achievements and stuff.
Do they still play, like, America?
They do it at the end.
And then they show,
Yes.
like, Tiger Woods
No,
and
no,
Lance
that's-
Armstrong,
that's
and you're just like,
it.
No,
these
no,
are
no.
the best examples
That's
of,
the
like...
American Adventure in Epcot.
Oh, okay, all right.
They only recently brought Golden Dreams to Great Moments to Mr. Lincoln,
Okay.
and they only added that as the show ended, as you're leaving the theater.
All right,
Playing
that's
it.
probably why I remember that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they only just added that. They added that at the same time they added the two brothers moment.
oh gosh. If you want to get
That
depressed,
song still gets to me, though, whenever the Two Brothers song comes
sing it,
on.
Peter, sing it.
Two brothers on their way. Two brothers. One wore blue and one wore gray.
One came back
And one stayed back. The really sad part is where you actually like see the guys like dead.
mangled body. And you're just like, oh wow.
This is kind of graphic for a little Disneyland show.
Okay, let's dive into Star Wars Land.
Okay.
And boarding passes.
This is where I check out.
Yes. Japheth has not done that, but I think it's important to kind of go over it. And again, this is pre-COVID. We're not sure how it will be after.
I have a feeling they're going to go the direction that currently Disney World has, which instead of giving out all the boarding passes in the morning, they break them up at 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
Yes,
So,
which
I have a
think
feeling that's what
will
they're
be
going to
better because right now, well, before it was you would have to be in the park
as it opens.
right when it opens. So generally, they would open up the gates an hour before.
Mm-hmm.
Or a half an hour. I saw this, and they have to open up the gates in the Main Street area if the line to Disneyland hits California Adventure.
Yes, and it does.
And it does. Last time I
Oh,
went,
that's so gross. Like, to
It-
see
it-
that
it-
coming in, you're like, oh, is
It
this my
actually
day?
loops back.
yes.
Oh.
It actually loops back.
You get the people angry because there's people like, well, I thought this was the line right here. And
Yeah.
they cut and just...
Yes.
Oh yeah,
So I think for me, the key things is get there like 2 hours before.
I would say if depending on where you're staying, like depending on what your hotel situation is,
Or if you're parking in the garage.
you need to make sure that you are in the Esplanade, that point right outside the turnstiles to Disneyland, at least an hour beforehand.
At least.
Oh, that's where you need to be an hour before,
Yes.
because might take you. It takes you about, if the line is all the way at California Adventure, that'll take you about 45 minutes to get into the park. So and then as you enter, this is kind of the exciting part of boarding passes.
There was a different type of magic when trying to wait for a boarding pass.
Yes, so like if any of you get the opportunity to, you should look at some of the old video footage of people waiting to get boarding passes, because like there's that moment where it's like 2 minutes before Disneyland officially opens, everyone's heads are down into their phone, because in order to get a boarding pass to ride the big attraction Rise of the Resistance, you need a boarding pass. There is no standby line. If you don't have a pass, you do not ride. And so everyone's looking down at their phone, hitting refresh constantly, and it gets quiet. All you hear is the background music on Main Street, and it's just quiet. And then as soon as
You'll hear someone in the crowd going, it's time, right? Or like, it's this time.
go,
yes.
Yeah, you hear a lot of go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden you just hear this random celebrations like, and then all of a sudden like the entire Main Street is yelling and cheering.
cheering.
It is like crazy.
And like you're around people and you're like, you got it, what's your boarding group? And like it's a really
It's exhilarating.
There's a camaraderie, it seems like,
Yes.
comes from this. Like, you're
And
all
it's-
there for one thing.
And it's also really sad to see the people who didn't, who were
Yeah.
right next to you, and they're like, oh.
Stupid Sprint, I hate you.
well, it's like, oh, I'm boarding group 150, and you're like, I'm sorry. And you got boarding group 20. Yes, it doesn't matter kind of where you're in the park as long as you have good service as far as getting a boarding pass. So
Yeah.
find a comfy spot.
So yeah, obviously, get the app. It's very important. There are those occasions that there are a group of people that, at least before, I don't know if this is still an option, but they had there were paper boarding passes that they would give out in Tomorrowland and at Critter Country. And I have seen people get boarding passes because, normally if you don't get it within the first 5 minutes of the park opening, you're probably not going to ride.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the truth.
You need to be in the park. So I would not be surprised if Disneyland adopts Disney World's option, which is they have kind of the poll first thing in the morning, and then they have one at like 1 in the afternoon for the people that come a little bit later.
Second chance. I think that's fair.
And I think the key thing with the app is don't have your app open while beforehand.
Open it up.
Close all your windows and just when it's time, open the app and get the boarding pass. That's the most successful way I've seen it and have experienced it.
Same here.
I think that will be good for Star Wars Land.
If you guys have additional questions, let us know.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Let's go with what's your top like restaurants? We'll go with sit down and quick service.
Okay.
Quick service is you go up, you get your food, you find a table, sit down. Sit down is you have a waiter.
Well, I don't think there's too many options like that at Disney, but
There's not for
there's
me.
some cafeteria style there that I think are just as good as having a
Correct.
waiter. Because mine, I like the French Market, especially at night. You got like a music band. You get that New Orleans feel. You got the trains going by. You're outside. There's trees. It's just it's got a great ambiance that I enjoy. That's realistic. The Blue Bayou is great, but for my money's worth, the French Market's for me. And then like for quick service, it's got to be the Royal Street veranda where you get the soup bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Where you if you want a hearty meal, you'll get like a sourdough piece of bread, and then they scoop out the center and they put in some good soup. We always go in the wintertime, it seems, and so that soup at night just it feeds your soul. It's just good. So those are my recommendations. I always like the food there in New Orleans Square.
Yeah, for me, I think for sit downs or where you need to make a reservation in Star Wars Land, the Cantina, I went, loved it. It's super crowded, so I have no idea how they'll do with COVID's restrictions, but it was really great. You have to make a reservation, and it's a 2-drink minimum, and it's like 45 minutes you're only allowed to be in there. But it's such a fun atmosphere to kind
Does
of
Greedo come in there
escape.
and corner you and put you in a booth and you're forced to shoot him first?
Well, and you don't get to choose where you sit. Someone will bring you in, and you'll either get I would say 90% of the tables there are standing, and then there's these giant booths, and sometimes you're lucky. So we were lucky; we got a booth and we got to sit down. But you
Do they have the Han booth?
No.
No.
Because it's a different cantina.
Yes.
Jason.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We're not on Tatooine.
We're not on
in
Tatooine. We're at
Tatooine.
Black Spire.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Batu, yeah.
Yeah. But it's really cool because you also get to sit down with other guests and kind of talk about your day at the park and just kind of be kind of
It's a casual
it's a
environment.
casual bar environment, which is just fun.
Did they give you any kind of story, the expanded universe with it? Because, Anakin Skywalker actually goes to that same bar in one of his stories with Grand Admiral Thrawn, before he was Thrawn.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, did they do any of that? Did they bring in inexpensive? Did you get a sense of like the story behind this place?
They don't really point it out.
No,
to
they
you.
don't go in detail. It's really crowded, I must say. It's very crowded in there.
You don't see like Thrawn was here, like Anakin's lightsaber went through this wall or something. No, okay. I was just curious.
Like I'm sure there are lots of details, and that's why I bought Japheth the book about Blackspire Outpost, and it has like little hidden stories and background stories of little things about the land and what took place and the characters that you'll meet there. So he'll when he eventually does go, he'll have that insight and be like, oh, you see this marking on the wall? That it means this, and so
yeah. And I was referring to another book where it's like Thrawn's Alliance.
Oh, were you? I didn't realize
part of
that.
the Thrawn trilogy, and so he works in that story with Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader.
Okay.
And when he's there.
Alright, so, getting off the Star Wars train.
Star Wars!
Best bathroom spots to go to.
Innovation Bathroom in Tomorrowland.
Oh, in
The launch bay.
In the launch bay now.
Is it in the launch bay?
It's Star Wars launch bay.
Interventions is gone.
Well, I call it Intervention because everyone knows what I mean by Intervention.
Yes.
It's the place in between Autopia and space. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a nice little bathroom. There's like a little like hat stand. It's off the beaten path. It's never crowded. I just like it when I'm there in Tomorrowland, as opposed to going to the Alice in Wonderland themed one.
That one's always busy.
It's always busy.
It's always busy. I like the Country Bear bathrooms when it's not like lunch or
Hungry
dinner
Bear.
time. Yeah, the Hungry Bear.
It's a good one.
That was gonna be mine. Mine was
Yeah.
gonna be the Hungry Bear. Well, at least before. Well, I like that one a lot because the water in the sinks are actually warm. So like it's always nice. Like sometimes you're washing your hands and like it's really cold, especially if you go in the winter. But like
It's the mechanical water that they reuse from Splash Mountain.
Probably, yeah. But like it's warm water, and so like I like, and the bathrooms are very large, and so they accommodate a lot of people. Which now with Galaxy's Edge, there is probably before it didn't get a lot of traffic because I don't think a lot of people knew it existed because it was very hidden.
It was.
But now that they've created a path that goes right next to it, it's
interesting transition going from like Country Bear to like boom, we're in Star Wars.
Transition it well.
Okay.
It transitions well.
All right.
Okay, what is one attraction to skip? I say Finding Nemo. Attraction, the submarine ride.
Okay.
Skip.
I would say, yeah, Finding Nemo, that's a good one that I don't like doing because you get on that one, and especially in the middle
You're
of the
eating
day.
someone's fart.
Well,
They get down the stairs and you know someone's farting in your face when you're like going up and down the stairs.
Well, the thing is, like, you go, especially in the middle of the day, you go ride that one in the middle of the day, and when you get off, you want to go take a nap. Like, that ride makes you tired. You're like, I am done. Like, you just feel finished. So if you're going to ride that one, ride it first thing in the morning, because there's no one waiting in line for that ride first thing in the morning.
I'll never ride that ride. I hate that ride.
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
I can give you one. One that I would skip, and I'd probably get a lot of backlash on this one, is the teacups. I hate
Oh,
spinny
that's a
rides.
must for me.
I hate spinny rides. I don't handle them well. And so if I ride it, I just sit there. I don't touch the wheel, and I'm just kind of like wobbling from side to side. Like, it's just, for me, that's a skip. Yeah.
Roger Rabbit. I hate Roger Rabbit. The line is so long.
That's why
I hate
have
the
to pass
queue.
that one.
Yeah, you have to.
And I think the first time I rode it, we waited like 2 hours for it, and it was the biggest letdown. And every time I get in there, I have this like PTSD of like being in that stupid long line where I get on and I was like, I hate this ride. And I would skip it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me.
Alright, if you had to choose between Fireworks Show or Fantasmic, which one? I'm a vote for Fireworks.
With a child? No. My little toddler could care less about that stuff. I'm gonna avoid it. Maybe like the parade, the nighttime like electrical parade replacement. What is it called? I can't remember.
Now it's called
Paint the Night, but there's
no,
a
it's
new
not.
parade.
No, it's not Paint the Night. It's Magic Lives or something like that. I forgot
Yeah,
what it's called.
they have a brand new parade.
So, and it's from what I've seen, it's really good.
I would take my
caught
child to that.
Parts of it because they were
Premiering
it that weekend I was there.
I'm Phantasmic. Especially with how old Bentley is. Bentley's my son. Should point that out.
No, Peter drives a Bentley. This podcast is extremely podcast. Thank you. Please donate to our Patreon.
No, but like he doesn't get into. He is afraid of fireworks. Like, he's afraid. Like those loud noises really gets to him. So, but when we took him to see Phantasmic, he just lit up. He got immersed and excited about all the characters and the music and all of that. So for me and my family, we are a Phantasmic family over fireworks.
Oh, man, I loved Wishes. That was the best fireworks show
I agree.
ever.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
The Disneyland one was primo.
The 50th anniversary of Disneyland fireworks show. Yes, that was
That's
definitely,
the
in my
best.
opinion, the best fireworks show I've seen.
I mean, they had a Disney World like
So,
10 years after it
Those
came out.
listening, check that out. The music is amazing because it takes music from the entire history of the Disneyland park and puts it to fireworks music. It's amazing.
And pyrotechnics and lasers. It was
Great.
awesome.
It was a great show.
All right, we're at the end of the park, but one last question is, what's your last attraction to ride with your family?
I'll go first. The carousel.
I'm
It's
the
slow. You get on it. There's the glow of the lighting. You have the music. It's simple. And you get off and you're ready to go down through the castle and finish the night how we've always done it as a family.
Mine answers the exact same. It's the most magical time to be in Fantasyland, like we discussed, and the carousel is a simple attraction that we've ridden in other locations other than Disney, but at night it's just special.
For me, depending on our situation, it's either between Mr. Toad or Peter Pan.
I think those are good. And I do have a tip, is that from working at Disney, as long as you make it in the queue a minute before
That's right.
it closes, you're in.
You're
If they
in.
will service you, you will make it in. But once it's
As soon as
if it's 9 o'clock, park closes, it's shut. Nope, sorry. Even if the person ahead of you made it in, doesn't matter.
And usually at the
I would let them in. I'd be like, hurry up. They don't know the difference up there. But, if you want to get that last right in, it's 11:58, get in the line and they will get you in. They won't cut you off and be like, oh, sorry, you waited 20 minutes at Space Mountain. Sorry.
Yeah.
And usually, depending on the attraction, the line actually goes a little bit quicker because the employees are trying, the cast members,
They're pushing.
they're pushing you out. They want to go home,
So if you want to get that space in, get in the queue right before.
Very true.
Well, this is all the time we have for kind of our tips at the Disneyland park. Another time we will do California Adventure, and the other
We'll go to Disney World.
we'll go to Disney World soon enough, and we'll kind of give our tips and tricks. But please let us know if you have any questions that you want answers to. We can return to those one episode to answer some questions you might have for us on your trip or vacation. Yeah, go ahead and find us on our social media. We are on Instagram at Matterhorn Yodelers. And Facebook, we have a page there. You can also email us at matterhornyodlers@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and have a magical day.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.